sequence.
Starting. We are live. Excellent. Excellent. Hello and welcome to the very first and hopefully not the last episode of the Singing Soapbox. I am Ryan. I am your alleged host, and I'm here with Joshua Dillon and Alex Dobson. And,
hello.
Hello. Say hello, everyone. Say hello, guys.
Hey, everyone. Hey, dude.
I am currently adding an extra guest to the call, which will take a moment, and I'm going to share this around. So the way I'd like to start this with each of you guys is, are you familiar with the concept of the elevator pitch?
No. Again.
The elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch, yeah, where... Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay. Basically, an elevator pitch is when you have a product and you have 60 seconds to pitch it. So what I would like you to do, and I'd like you to take turns on this, is you've got 60 seconds to pitch your music to the people listening. Okay, guys?
Okay.
So Alex, you can go first.
Right, can I go first, yeah?
Yeah, you've got 60 seconds.
Are you gonna set a timer?
I have set the internal timer inside my primate brain.
Sorry, that was my son who interrupted one of them.
Oh, hello, by the way. Hello. Before we start, hi. Hi, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. Are we broadcasting now?
Yes, we are broadcasting now.
Hello, world.
Hello, this is Malcolm. Say hello to everyone, to Malcolm.
Sorry, I keep getting interrupted by various kids putting their heads in front of the webcam.
I got you.
I got you. My children, not random ones.
What I'm going to do quickly, I'm going to find the streamy stream. Here it is. And I'm going to try and mirror the screen so we can take a look at all of your beautiful faces as opposed to mine. Alex is a still photo and the rest of your videos. It's really amusing. Alex, are you still there?
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, do you want us to turn the video on?
I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Let me just make sure the screen share thing works first. Okay, yeah. We have screen share. Now we can see all of you. Excellent.
I can only see me. How do I see everyone?
You can't see everyone. I and the audience can see everyone.
Oh, okay.
It's rather complicated.
I can see Malcolm.
Yeah, all right. That's reason enough to get excited. Right, guys. Alex, elevator pitch.
Right, okay. Right, so the sort of music I can make. I'm a singer-songwriter. Influenced a lot by other singer-songwriters, people like sort of rhythmic songs with meaningful sort of lyrics about life and like all sorts of stuff.
Malcolm's kid has completely derailed that, Alex. Well done. That was impressive. That was impressive video bombing.
Apologies.
No apologies required. No apologies required. I'd like a bit of spontaneity here.
We will make sure they're thoroughly punished.
Alex, are you happy with that, or would you like to go again? Because at this stage we can basically throw pacing out the window.
Just sort off at the end.
All right, mate. All right. Well, that being the case, then, Joshua, do you want to have a go?
Okay. Have you got a stopwatch?
Yes, I do. It is on my phone. It is on my phone,
okay.
But it is a stopwatch.
Okay, cool. Just tell me when to go.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, I'm Joshua Dillon. I'm a singer-songwriter from a small place called the Isle of Man, but I'm now based in Brighton. My music, I try and make many different genres just to keep my mind quite proactive. A lot of my songs are quite pop-orientated or folk pop, just because that's where, for me, a lot of people say you sound yourself, but that's where I can get the most of the market. But I don't write traditional kind of like poppy love songs and all that kind of things. I try and write about current situations that are going on in the world at the moment, because I believe that we need an extra voice in this world, just to kind of stand up against all the things that our lives and everything have been told to us, and also as well just things like racism, sexism, bullying, all these kind of issues that go on in society now, and a lot of people that are in the charts now. How many of them do you know that sing about things that we can all relate to in this sort of way? So this is what I do. Try and make music to help people, hopefully.
It's a very good aim. Right, you've got 10 seconds. Anything left?
And if you want to catch me, you can find me at Joshua Dillon on the internet anywhere, or YouTube, Facebook. Type in Joshua Dillon, and you'll be able to find out a little bit about me and what I do, and why I do it.
That was a really good elevator pitch. Classic work there. So Malcolm, it's your turn.
Hi, yeah, I'm Malcolm Galloway. My band is Hats Off Gentlemen It's Adequate, which is me either on my own, plus or minus one or more of 4 other colleagues. And we do rock, a mixture of acoustic rock, progressive rock, some electronica, almost towards metal in some bits. And I also do classical, contemporary, minimalist stuff under my own name as Malcolm Galloway.
That's pretty good. Very succinct. All right, so we sort of know each other all a little bit better now. The next thing I want to ask you guys, we're going to move into a bit of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start off with what the first thing I've got on my to-do list, which is, do you think that music has lost its balls? And if so, why?
So could you say that again?
Do you think that music has sort of lost its balls? A little bit. By which I mean, like, you listen to a lot of modern popular music and it almost feels like all of the life and energy has sort of been shorn from it. And I'd like to know why, if you believe that's true, and if so, why?
Is this a question to everybody?
Yes.
Well, first I'd like to say I kind of, obviously there's many musicians out there, and a lot of them that I hear are writing about certain causes, and but a lot of the music that you hear it in that is is kind of dominating the market, and it's just throwaway music. There's not many people that write timeless classics anymore, so to a certain extent, I do think that music has lost its balls, because people or the hierarchy or whoever's kind of like involved in that, whoever's got the money basically, they kind of write to make money, so they only write for certain things, whereas many years ago, they'd be writing about a lot of stuff that comes from the heart, and that's what sells then. But nowadays it's just normally sex and love and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely think music's lost its balls, but I don't think musicians themselves have lost their balls. I just think it's a lot of it's down to money, and that's just my personal opinion. I hope I'm not too incorrect there.
It's fine. Opinions is what it's all about. What do you think?
I would suggest that in any art form, there's huge variability in quality. Anything that you're seeing at the time hasn't yet had the filter of time. So it's easy to look back on any previous period where 99.9% of the content has been filtered out by being ignored by history, and see that as a golden age. I mean, if you look throughout history, people are always saying that, you know, the modern things are rubbish. It's not necessarily because they're modern, it's probably because just most things are rubbish, and that we forget about the rubbish from the past.
Sturgeon's Law, yeah? Do you know about Sturgeon's Law?
Pardon?
Sturgeon's Law. Are you familiar with that phrase?
Oh, right. No.
Sturgeon was a science fiction writer, and basically he was doing a conference. I'm paraphrasing here, and I'm probably getting most of it wrong, but to my knowledge, he was doing a conference, and someone asked him, how can you defend science fiction as a literary genre when 98% of science fiction is crap? To which he responded, 98% of everything is crap.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair enough. Yeah, and then the things that get counted as the classics are the things that have survived over the years, which has got a huge amount of filtering, so it's not usually a fair comparison. Yeah.
I think that's definitely a fair comment.
That kind of hello?
I believe we're all still here. Alex?
Yep.
Have you got anything to say?
Yeah. Can you still hear us?
I'm sorry?
Can you still hear us?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, I don't really think that music is kind of lost, but more that the audience.
We're having a bit of trouble with your mic, Alex. Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I don't really, can you hear us this time? I can hear it now.
I literally am hearing every fourth word that you say.
Oh, yeah.
It's very unfortunate. All right. Well, that's a bit shit, really, isn't it? Alex, do you want to have one more go?
Yeah. Okay. So I said I don't really think music is kind of lost its balls. I think that the audience has become like very accepting of all the different platforms that they use to access it.
Okay.
And therefore that's kind of made people like sort of audiences have become lazy, which means that musicians have become lazy in what they put that out, and people want so many music. There's time to put in their quality tracks, and kind of people just have to regurgitate the same sort of scene is alive, which is different the way it used to be. Like even like 10, 15 years ago.
Well, I've heard from a few people, that a big reason that the music now, the mainstream in particular, has become so homogenized is that the people with the money who are investing in the artists don't want to take any risks anymore. And so because of that, I mean, there isn't really sort of an iconoclastic figure.
Everyone's like, what's going to sell?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if you look at the landscape of modern popular music, there isn't really an iconoclastic figure. Like, you go back to the 60s, well, it was the 60s, you know, you had Jimi Hendrix, you had Jim Morrison. But nowadays, the closest you've really got to that is Lady Gaga. And what does she do? She wears silly outfits. Like, you compare that with, like, Ozzy Osbourne.
I think that there's also that's a big part of her identity, and it's kind of the way that she expresses. And even though I'm not a massive Lady Gaga fan, I think that at least she's attempting to do something different to what most other mainstream pop musicians do.
I'd say one of the big differences now is, you'd say, Jimi Hendrix. So if somebody like Jimi Hendrix was trying to make independently the kind of albums he made, it would, in his day, have been hugely expensive. Or imagine, say, Pink Floyd, if they were trying to do something technically like they were doing then in their time, it would require a huge investment. Whereas now, somebody who has got the talent with a PC costing, 800 quid or something, and free software they can get off a magazine, could make something technically as good. Obviously, there's the musical aspect. I'm not saying it's going to be musically as good, but there wouldn't be you don't necessarily need big financial backing to make something artistically interesting now. So there may not, you haven't got big investors with providing access to large markets. But if what you're most interested is actually making the music you want to make, the barriers are so much lower now. So I see that that's quite a nice freedom that people have now. So I want to say, when we're talking about the people with the money who have the influence as to who becomes recorded, it's not really so important who becomes recorded. They can push people to a mainstream audience. But if what you're focused on is making the music you want to make, that's now easier than ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I was expecting there to be some disagreement. You're all getting on with each other. This has completely failed as a format.
The only way to get exposure, like I say, is it takes money to make money, sort of thing. So when you're talking about the marketing side of things, this is where the money comes in. But like I say, anybody with a bit of talent, or a bit of practice can buy a laptop and just sit at home and make music, and you can. There's some amazing albums out there. People have made music in their bedrooms.
Oh, absolutely.
But again, when it comes to exposure, that's a different kettle of fish. You need money for that. Or be lucky, really.
If you listen to one of the independent channels, radio stations like XRP or Newsboat, you can in one evening hear quite a few artists who the quality of what they're doing as independent homemade people, if it had been 30, 40 years ago, that would have been enough to get them a wide audience. But because there's such a proliferation of good quality music, it's difficult to get an individual voice heard in to get across to an audience without a budget. Yeah,
it's true. Unfortunately, but I also think that kind of people can't really saturate anymore. Although there's a lot of talent out there, people really music, and that's fine because people need to experiment. But then that music gets uploaded and it makes the good stuff harder to stand out because.
I suppose that's why now there's such a large role for the sort of passionate enthusiast curator. The person who's saying, this is what I've heard that I really like, directing people to what they like, even though they haven't got a voice in a traditional, say, print medium. They're not a formal critic in a newspaper or something, but they've got people who say, this particular blogger, I like their taste, and if they recommend something, I will go and listen to what they recommend. So there's a new level of sort of curators of content that's arisen.
Sort of like tastemakers.
Yeah.
On a slightly smaller scale than you would normally expect. Like it used to be that there was like John Peel and Nellie Nightingale, and that was sort of it. Whereas now you've got hundreds and hundreds of bloggers. And it seems like fan bases, they've become a lot loyaler, but they've also become a lot smaller.
It's that kind of niche marketing.
Do you guys feel that in terms of major labels that they're reacting to this shift in how people are thinking about the music industry quickly enough? Like, do you feel like?
I think. Go on, sorry.
Yeah. Do you feel like, with regards to how they're treating new talent, how they're treating, because a lot of the music scene now seems to be acting independently of them. And the question I suppose I would have to pose would be, do you think that they're reacting fast enough to deal with it?
I think that major labels now are kind of a little bit unfair in the sense that because there's so many, for instance, you guys know
I'm sorry, can you repeat? Can you repeat that, please? Joshua?
Hello? It up because
We are
still here.
having some technical issues. Just one moment while I sort this right out. Okay. Joshua?
Hello?
Hello. Proceed.
I think it's Alex with the problem, mate.
Oh, Alex. Oh, he's gone completely. Shit.
Go and stand by your router.
All right, my router's on. Wait a minute. Wait one moment. Okay. Question for Malcolm. Malcolm, you're in a band. Do you find, as a working musician, that working with multiple people can become difficult from a financial standpoint? Yeah.
I think it's just you and me, mate.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Well, then let's keep chatting then. I'll try and get them back online.
No problem.
How about you? Have you been listening to anything good recently? Have you got anything that you recommend?
Oh, do you know what? I'm quite liking James Bay at the moment. He's got he's got a really good sound, really up to date sound. But to be honest with you, I kind of just listen to all the old people. Like John Martin is one of my favourites. I like the Cooks and that. But yeah, my latest one is James Bay.
Hello.
Hello, Malcolm.
Hello. Sorry, it just all crashed and everyone disappeared. Now back. Apologies.
That's quite all right, mate.
Sorry. So what was the question? I just heard you say, Malcolm, this is a question for you, and then the whole thing turned off. So
it's a conspiracy. Sorry, mate. It's all right. It's a conspiracy. It's the Illuminati and the lizard people out to get us. Don't worry about it. I managed to sort them right out. Anyway, the question was, you're in a band, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you find, as a working musician, that it becomes harder to work within a band format from a financial standpoint because there's more mouths to feed?
Well, my band is slightly odd in that a lot of what we do is me on my own or with one of the others, and it varies who it is depending on who's available. The others in my band are working professional musicians. I don't make my living from music. I do it. I have another job 3 days a week, and then I do creative stuff the rest of the time. But I can't really comment on the finances in the sense that if there's a model that involves actually getting any significant revenue from it, it's not one that I've personally mastered. So the others, they make their living from it, and they have to, they go and do lots of paid gigs. And so there aren't that many days where the five of us are available to play all of us at the same time. And yeah, the issue of splitting the money between five, if there, nothing divided by five is pretty much the same as nothing divided by one.
It's a very good point. Very sobering. All right. Is Alex still alive, or have the Illuminati lizard people got him? Alex?
Yes, I think I'm back.
Hey! He escaped. Get in. Okay. My co-host actually had some like news stories which we were going to take a look at, but unfortunately he has had a bit of a medical tiffy, so he will not be joining us. So I have a question in lieu of doing that. Do you guys find in your adventures gigging, and this is just something that I've noticed, but I'm not sure if other people have sort of noticed this as well, but I've noticed that a lot of people, depending on the kind of genres that they identify with, it tends to inform their political views. Like I've noticed that a lot of people that are into, say for example, rap music tend to be of the sort of conservative Christian bent, whereas people who listen to electronic music tend to be more agnostic. Do you feel like music and faith, that there's sort of an intrinsic relationship there? Or do you feel it's more people attributing their beliefs to that genre of music?
Yeah, music's had a huge. Sorry, go.
Joshua or Alex?
Hello, it's Alex.
Yeah, you're sorry, mate. Alex. Alex, proceed.
Yeah, can you hear?
Yes.
Can you hear us? Okay.
Loud and clear.
That's good. I think that's quite a difficult question. I don't really know. I mean, I'm not really religious as a person, so it's probably quite difficult to comment on. I think that for some people, it definitely is. I think whatever you're involved with in life or in your state of mind is definitely something that will come out in what you write or the way you perform or how you portray yourself as a person or a musician. So I can kind of think that it is, but I can't really say I've experienced it firsthand within religion and music.
Okay.
My experience of things is a lot of it comes down to a cultural thing, you know, and also environmental as well. So don't forget, you know, even like Christianity all around the world, it's kind of not supported in different ways, but it's, you know, worshipped in different ways. All right, yeah, people go to church on a Sunday, but because of their cultural backgrounds in each part of the world, they kind of interact differently, and I think that will come in the same way as music. Obviously, it depends where you are in the world, and also comes down to the individual itself. I personally haven't really experienced much in the way of people putting a religious element into their songs. There's a couple of tracks lately I'm hearing where they're mentioning going into church, and yes, you are saying about the Christian vibe, but to be honest with you, I don't normally hear people putting a religious element in, and I think from music that I've listened to from over time, we've always tried putting political things in, political messages, but in my opinion, nowadays it's kind of died a little bit. It's people don't write about that anymore. Not from what I can think of, anyway.
Would you say that the music scene in the UK is, for the most part, secular?
Yeah.
That was a very simple answer there. Yes.
And obviously, religions have been a major employer of musicians and commissioned the music for centuries.
Absolutely.
So it's if you were in an environment in the 1600s or 1500s, and your only employment as a composer is to write a mass or a requiem, it's not surprising that there's such a lot of music that the lyrics express a religious viewpoint. But I personally, in gigs I've been to, I haven't really come across religion as being a particularly big aspect in London, certainly. Obviously, though, I mean, I'm personally an atheist, so I'm not tending to go to specifically religious events.
You dirty heathen.
Religious music at a religious festival, but there is many Christian rock bands out there. Some of them are actually really good. I was really into one, but when I was younger. But again, it's not a common thing, is it really? Not unless you're in that circle, Or and again, say if you've been asked to write for a church, then from mosque or for whatever, then. Yeah.
In my experience, faith and music, different religious groups tend to almost exist within a vacuum when it comes to music. Like, there'll be a lot of Christian musicians who make a living as Christian musicians, and that's how they'll self-identify. And I just find it interesting, like the relationship between the rest of culture and music. Do you guys feel that, with regards to, for example, politics, do you feel that politics should have a place alongside music? Do you feel music should influence politics?
I don't think music should influence politics. I know some music's being influenced by politics, but I don't think it works the other way around. You know, because in politics they're not talking about expression or emotion. You might get people talking out about something, but in politics it's normally about changing something for the better or for the good or whatever. But no, I don't see many musicians writing a song and people off the back of that song go, right, we need to change a certain policy and law now. You know, I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think it'd work. It'd be a cool world if it did, though.
It would. Absolutely.
There's a difficulty of which kind of concepts can you readily put into a song, and how to make your politics rhyme. I mean, it's a bit like with blowing in the wind. You can have generic concepts of being nice is a good thing, and if I were to sing that in a song, I think most of the small number of people who are interested in what I do would agree being nice is a good thing. But I'm kind of preaching to the converted, so it's not likely to have any kind of impact on anyone. If you see what I mean. What's maybe more relevant and less likely to happen is where people actually have their assumptions challenged. But generally, we listen to people who say what we want to hear.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And politicians have found know that more than anything, especially when it comes up to election. They'll promise the world, but when it comes to it, when it comes to the country, nothing ever happens.
No.
But we always keep on believing it for some reason.
Is this going to turn into a political discussion?
I know, yeah.
It feels like, no, I've not got a problem with it turning into a political discussion. No issue whatsoever.
An interesting point when you're saying is, should music influence politics, and there was a suggestion, well, it's more legitimate for music to be influenced by politics. I think there's a difference between being influenced by something that's around you that moves you as a writer, and necessarily thinking that what you are doing is going to have a political impact. So, I might see something or read something that makes me feel like expressing something, but I don't necessarily expect that to be having any kind of political impact. It's more a question of something that has influenced, that inspired me to write something, if that makes sense.
It does. Alex, what do you think?
I think sort of in politics think that people just write music about what they're most passionate about. A lot of people are passionate about currency, so the people that always have like a different viewpoint. I think it's just interesting to kind of integrate that with music. But I don't think that it's always a necessity, and I think also it can kind of be, it can make you like or dislike a song purely because of it's someone's view, you know what I mean?
I get you. Okay. How about this for a question? With regards to the role controversy plays in music, especially relating to freedom of speech, as that seems to be the hot button issue at the moment, do you feel there are any subjects which you just shouldn't be allowed to write songs about?
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's just like having a conversation with somebody. There's certain things you say to them and certain things you wouldn't say. Freedom of speech, yeah, you could write about anything you wanted, but you need to remember is who you're going to be hurting by, and by your one?
For me personally, I think that censorship should be, if used very rarely. I mean, as a general principle, freedom of speech is something I would feel strongly about. Though that's not to say that people who then use that freedom don't also have to at least think about the implications for it. So as a general thing, for example, saying something slanderous against somebody who's very vulnerable and in no position to defend themselves is not, I think, a very wise thing to do. Generally, I don't think there should be a kind of state organised censorship of lyrics. Not like in the days when the plays had to go to the national centre of plays to have their texts reviewed before they could be put on.
Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to play a little game. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to read some lyrics from controversial songs. From you guys, whether you think that they're acceptable or not.
Can you define whether by acceptable you mean do we think they should be banned or whether we would sing them?
Do you think they should be banned? Because none of these lyrics I can imagine you guys really going for. And it's as simple as that. Let me just get them up. Giggity. Okay. So, the first is from Ice-T. It's from Cop Killer. I'm about to dust some cops off. Cop Killer, better you than me. Cop Killer, fuck police brutality. That's from Ice-T.
I don't think that one should be banned.
Okay.
It's not a message in itself. It's an American message of police brutality. The swearing in it, I wouldn't really let, if I had a child, I wouldn't let my young child listen to it, but and to your target market is for that one, really, doesn't it? I wouldn't allow that on a commercial show where it's being broadcasted to everybody. I don't think that should be banned.
So you think it has its place, and that
it has a place somewhere, yeah, of course. What he's trying to get across there is, about what's going on in his time and obviously what's going on in his surroundings, and that can relate to an awful lot of people. It's not like he's talking about raping somebody and then killing them and then trying to discard the body. That is a proper no-no. What he's doing there is just a bit of swearing to me, to be honest with you.
Okay.
For me, I don't like the idea of singing that killing people is a good thing as a general thing, but I'd see it as up to individual broadcasters to decide what content they choose to broadcast, just as much as I'm saying you should be reluctant to ban things if possible. Similarly, if you are a broadcaster, nobody's forcing you to broadcast something if you don't think that's appropriate to your audience or you don't wish to be associated with that. By all means, don't play it.
The thing is, there's only ever trouble with broadcasts within the audience. It's like Ofcom state that you can kind of broadcast anything. But it's when you get complaints from audience basically. So anything with swearing and like that, like quite aggressive, is not really going to be suitable for broadcast because they know that it's going to get complaints. So I think it's acceptable maybe on like an album track if you've invested in an artist and you kind of know what to expect from the topics of the songs. But I think it's not something that should be kind of forced upon people to listen to.
And also, a lyric in a song doesn't necessarily mean the songwriter is advocating that position. There are plenty of songs where the singer is playing a character, and that character may or may not be somebody who's pleasant. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the singer or songwriter personally believes.
I'll tell you what, that would be Malcolm. That would be an amazing quote for the next Ice-T album. Not necessarily pleasant.
Sorry?
That would be an amazing quote for the next Ice-T album. Not necessarily pleasant.
Yeah. Quite a nice album title, yeah.
Okay.
But you see what I mean? Just because you have a phrase in a song doesn't necessarily mean that you are agreeing with that point of view.
Absolutely.
That is something being expressed by a character in a song, or it can be with irony. I think a lot of Eminem stuff, yes, out of context, doesn't sound enormously pleasant, but in the context where there's a lot of self-deprecation going on as well, it maybe suggests it's not meant to be taken as literally as it might come across in just an isolated extract.
Well said. Next up, are you guys familiar with a rapper called Rick Ross? Rick Ross.
Yes.
He's a gangster rapper who used to be a used to be a prison warden, and he basically made a name for himself pretending to be a drug baron, and he stole his name from an actual drug dealer called Rick Ross. The reason why I say this is for the benefit of context, so you know the kind of character we're dealing with. And the second question I have to ask, are all of you familiar with the term Molly?
Give us a
Molly
refresher.
The term Molly, it's a slang term for MDMA.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Really?
We're learning! Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. Okay.
They're not Molly.
I'm sorry?
I've heard of Mandy, but not Molly.
It's the same thing. It's the Americanized version of Mandy. The reason why is because I need to make sure you know what that is before I read this lyric out.
Okay.
So the lyric is, put Molly all in her champagne. She ain't even know it. I took her home and enjoyed that. She ain't even know it.
I don't really understand what he's trying to get, what he's trying to say there. He's trying to put something in his own drink or someone else's.
He's saying he put something in a girl's drink, then took her home and fucked her.
Okay, well, no. Yeah. Oh, God. Again, I don't think that the lyrics should be banned, but I do think it's. I don't agree with that lyric. I think if a certain person listens to that, it would almost be promoting it to them. But I mean, everybody's got pretty terrible lyrics, but it's all down to the listeners and down to like.
Well, I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I don't think you should censor anything. So I'm kind of have that blanket view that every view, no matter how reprehensible, should be allowed to be voiced. Because once you censor, for example, you look at groups like the far-right groups like the BNP and the anti-fascist movement. Me personally, I think that as soon as you start censoring fascists, you start going on the road to becoming a fascist. So I just don't agree with any form of censorship whatsoever. But that does not change the fact that if someone says something like that, they have the right to say that. We, as a society, have the right to tell that person to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, true.
That's basically my position.
That's definitely an 18 lyric. Definitely an 18.
I mean, obviously, there's the famous thing of the, you don't want to censor people, but if you shout fire, fire in a theatre, people are going to get killed in the stampede. I think the exceptions for directly inciting murder, that kind of, thing, I think is a legitimate cause for censorship. But generally, for me, I would set the bar very high for wanting to censor anything.
Okay.
And I think your point about the far right is an interesting point, that often people with unpleasant views, their views are not necessarily very internally consistent or logically defensible, and sometimes actually a debate can then highlight the weakness of the views rather than necessarily spreading them. So it's as you say, the difficulty of not wanting to give the oxygen of publicity to people who are trying to do things that you find reprehensible, but also not then preventing those ideas being challenged.
Okay.
So it's a difficult balance.
It's a very difficult balance. I think that being on the left end of the political spectrum in general is a bit of a tightrope walk.
Sorry, say that again?
Being on the left end of the political spectrum in general is a bit of a tightrope walk when it comes to ethics.
Well, it's mentally very easy if you take any kind of extreme position where you don't accept any kind of challenge to your views. You know, you have this comfortable view that, you know, your beliefs are completely right, everybody else is completely wrong. Anybody who's a bit more open to exploring and discussing ideas, there's always going to be an element of compromising competing principles, none of which has, you know, 100% trumping every other principle.
Okay. I like how far we've managed to go with this from an intellectual standpoint of reading silly rap lyrics out. We've done pretty well, all things considered. A quick question: did any of you guys want to do a quick acoustic performance of any of your songs?
Yeah, well, I mean,
if you would like to, then now is the time.
I don't think we'll be stopping anybody else though.
I'll do it, but I think that probably might cut out.
It shouldn't do.
I mean, an interesting thing, given the Skype problems, would be having a four-way jam via Skype. That would actually turn into quite an interesting piece of experimental art. There's all these different things coming in different times, cutting in and out.
Free jazz, isn't it?
Cool.
I have tried that a few times, doing a jam over Skype. I will let you know when it works.
Yeah. No, I'm quite forward to having a great difficulty having an ordinary conversation on Skype. I'm sure actually anything musically interesting would be very challenging.
Absolutely. Joshua seems very ready to go.
Well, I thought that's what we were doing. That's why I've had the guitar here.
Well then, now is your chance, my friend.
Okay. This is called What Do You Want From Me? This is something along the lines of what we've been talking about. I have walked every ocean, empty and broken motion. Countries going through the knees. Another man's of land, they say good next to space, that I don't like this. No one understands the way it makes me feel. Standing right there, but they're acting as if you're not real. You're stealing me up the noise, shaking my head, but that's unsafe. It's just a noise. The head on me is so sad to see. All of you girls and boys, I'm involved. My heart just shows, you know, and understand the way it makes me feel. It makes me feel. Oh, lady, shores in the rain. People walk past it to me and say, no, I come and see. No community. Static, you and me, there's nothing new. man walks the streets, standing by some dead beats. Who the hell do you think you are? You mustn't even alone in nature. No one understands the way it makes me feel. Standing right there, but the empty you know me. To fill me up, Lord, to be my what's left unsaid. Just know the enemy so that you see all of you girls and boys. My heart just yours. No one understands the way it makes me feel. Makes me feel. If I could, I would bleed for soul. I must take no chance and die for all I need. What do you want? What do you want from me? I so long the same imagination. Kill the play. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? No one understands the way this makes me That's completely in the wrong key, but what do you want from me?
What you did there, I see it. That was really cool. It was let down a little bit by the stream quality. But,
Oh yeah, I'm glad actually.
but that was still lovely. It's a nice song. Do you have a link to somewhere where listeners can stream that if they feel so inclined?
Yeah, of course. I'll just give you my page. I mean, if you just type in Joshua Dillon on the internet, you'll find a lot of my stuff. But if you just type in Joshua Dillon Music on Facebook, you'll just find my fan page. If not, just type in Joshua Dillon, and it's Joshua Dillon. Joshua Dillon Music, and my normal Facebook page is Joshua Dillon.77. But again, if you just type in Joshua Dillon, you'll find my music.
Okay. Now, have you heard that, everyone? I'm not going to ask him again.
Yes, I'm trying to find you. I can't find you.
I mean, I think I'm linked. I'm linked with one of you guys. I can't remember. Who's Lion?
That's me.
What's your name?
My name?
Yeah.
So that's the riddle for the ages, my friend.
If you type in Joshua Dillon.77, you'll come up with a picture with me holding a guitar like this.
I have seen that picture many times. Malcolm, you asked a question about the YouTube on the chat window, which everyone saw because I screen shared.
When I tried to open up YouTube.
To answer your question, the YouTube link is not the one we're using to record this because there was a technical issue. So this is being recorded on a separate stream platform, but then I'm going to put it on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So if you want to show anyone this after the fact, then it will be on that link, and I will send you all a link to that.
Lovely.
I'm actually going to wrap things up now because we've managed a pretty solid hour, and I don't trust the live performances thing yet, just on the basis of the audio quality.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a very fair what's the word? First impression of you guys. Like, for example, with with Joshua's performance there, I could tell it was a lovely song and a lovely performance. It was marred by the audio quality, so I will do everything in my power to fix that in time for next week. Thank you to all of my guests for being brilliant and
Thanks for the invitation.
being so entertaining. I'm sure I'll have you all on again soon, once this turns into a proper show. And this has been the Singing Soapbox. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
Great, thanks very much, Al.
Good night. Thanks for having us. Cheers.
Very welcome, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. I've just put my link on there so you can
I will leave it open for the moment, and anyone who wants to check that out, I implore you to check it out. It's very cool. And yes, see you all very soon. Goodbye.
All the best, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.